Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos, and guess what? It is officially week 1 in college football anyways, and this is officially our NIL show. What is that? Name, image, and likeness. PB and I and the PB&Z Chaos show, we are now selling sponsors to come and help us out here. Let's go. Sponsor us. Use our NIL. We got NIL. You're going to love it. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about this whole Cam Mack thing that happened this past Monday momentarily. PB's got some interesting trades in his Dynasty League. We've done this before. We're going to hear about it tonight. I'll give you my viewpoints because, as you know, I'm not a big fantasy fan, but I do like our Survivor Fantasy. We had our draft last night. We'll talk about that momentarily as well. Little preview on college football. Boston College, the Eagles open up tomorrow with Colgate, only 46.5-point favorites. Go figure. Hey, and then we'll do our famous 4 picks that we do every week with ranked games normally. First of all, I got a quick little 2-minute drill. The Dodgers finally, after 5 months, have overtaken San Francisco Giants. PB, you and I did not see it coming, like we didn't see the Red Sox holding off the Tampa Bay Rays as long as they did, right?
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And by
the way, the team we thought would compete with the Dodgers, the Padres, are suddenly in trouble for a wild card spot against the Reds, no less, because the Giants are way ahead of them. Right now, the Padres are hoping for the second best wild card. I'm shocked by that. You are as well, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, not the Reds, though. PB predicted the Reds to win the Central. They're not going to win the division, but they're probably going to get into the playoffs. But I was pretty high on the Reds going into this year.
Yes, you were. And look, the Brewers are right there. Hey, by the way, the Sox, what the heck? They stepped on the freaking COVID bee's nest, apparently. 11 people on the team, 8 roster players, 3 staff are infected. This is unbelievable. Xander Bogaerts had to be taken out in the middle of an inning. I was watching the game live, and I was looking, Cora was going like this. I'm like, what's up with that? Bogaerts had to leave. He tested positive. It was unbelievable. The freakiest thing I ever saw in my life. Hey, Bobby Dahlbeck, who saw this coming? Rookie of the month last month in August, 339, 7 dingers, 21 RBIs. Going into the month, he had 11 dingers and only 40 RBIs. Bobby, music man, because he's a big music buff. Good for him. I'm glad to see it. Finally, we see something coming out of that sweet swing of his. All right, PB, I got a little DYK for you before we get into football talk, talking about the Pats and Cam Newton and Mac Jones. What player, or I should say what player led the NFL over the last decade, so from 2011 through 2020, in rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, that's a trick question. It's probably not a running back. And since we're leading into a segment on Cam, I'm going to go with Cam Newton.
Oh, I set him up. It was unbelievable. You are correct. Cam Newton with 70. Hey, by the way, I'm drinking a little beer here in honor of my tailgating buddy when I go to BC tomorrow. It's the Benevolent Rick Tater beer. It's a little IPA from locally in Massachusetts called the Benevolent Rick Tater for Rick, our man, Ricky P. All right, you just mentioned it. So this Cam Newton thing, were you shocked by it?
No, I wasn't shocked by it. But I was,
I'm shocked by him getting cut. I can maybe see Max starting, although I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
But cutting him, I was shocked by just cutting him.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that if he stayed there, I think Belichick would have had to go with him out of the gate just to see if they could start winning games and have a really, really short leash. But the fact that he got cut altogether, he really must have been lacking something. And I think it really boils down to consistency for him. There's no question on his athleticism, but he just had some consistency issues, whether it was reading defenses or just not. Timing was off. There was something wrong there with the whole game, especially when he played last year. I know he looked better in the preseason this year, but not enough to make the team, obviously. And Belichick knows those players better than anybody. So
PB, we just had our Survivor draft last night. We had to draft 19 quarterbacks. We have 19 players. Thinking about that, is there a home for Cam Newton? There's no starting position for him in the NFL right now, right?
Definitely no starting positions, and there's probably no backup positions either for him. They're saying right now he's not good enough to be even a backup.
So, having said that, is he all done?
He very well could be. I think what's going to happen is the team's going to have some unexpected injuries, and they're going to have to bring him in. I don't know if it's going to be as a starter or as a backup, but they would have to bring him in as an extra resource for the quarterback position. The question really comes down to somebody, or is he going to want to go and start?
Right. All right, let's talk about the other side of the fence there, Mac Jones. By the way, back in November, a little sportscast called PB&Z Sports Chaos said Mac Jones would be ideal for the New England Patriots. Oh, we did. We said it right here in November. We are famous. All right. Is he going to be a good pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's Brady. I don't want to start comparing him to Tom Brady, but he's Brady-like in the sense that he plays a good mental game. He knows the playbook. He studies hard. He's just a smart quarterback. And when it comes down to, when you have a good offensive line like they do, and everything's based on that timing and getting all those looks in on all the routes that are being run, he's going to do that. So as long as he can get the ball where it needs to go, he should be pretty successful. He's yet to take a snap in the NFL in an actual regular season game. So we jump to judgment here. But he should have time. He should get the protection he needs. And I think he's set up for success. I mean, he's set up to be success. He's got destiny in his own hands.
Rookie of the year?
There's a lot of guys out there that could contend with that, but some of them aren't playing out of the gate. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to be starting right away. Zach Wilson's going to be starting right away. Obviously, Justin Fields is not in favor of Andy Dalton. Way to go, Matt Nagy. And then you also have Trey Lance, who is not starting either. So, how many games will they play, and can they even contend for that spot if they don't?
Funny you should mention Trey Lance. Good segue to my next question. Remember, back in March, all the people are talking about the big trade that San Francisco made, 3 draft picks to move up to number 3, and everybody said it was going to be Mac Jones. And who'd they take?
They took Trey Lance.
So imagine if Trey Lance turns into Marcus Russell and Mac Jones turns into Tom Brady. How bad do the 49ers look?
Oh, my God, that would be devastating. And, Trey Lance is another guy who, at least we have some type of resume on Mac Jones. We don't really have a resume on Trey Lance. I mean, the guy played for North Dakota State. He faced no competition. He played Colgate. He actually played Colgate in one of his games.
Yes.
No competition, no pass rush. He was just back there like the stud of that league, that division that he played in. And there's no real testing there. And he didn't even play his senior year because he opted out. So, this guy's a big gamble. I think you're right. San Francisco's going to look like fools if he doesn't pan out.
By the way, senior year, the team opted out. They played one game. That was it. They played one game all year. That was his only experience last year. All right, let's move on from that. We got to talk. You got some interesting fantasy trades going on in your Dynasty Fantasy League, correct?
Right. The Dynasty League, where you own a team forever. You basically draft out of your rookies. But this was our inaugural season. So we had to do a full roster with all the players in the NFL. Going forward, it'll just be from the actual rookies entering the NFL or anybody on waivers.
All right. So you got some trades you want to run by the Wizard Z. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to run these by the Wizard Z. So the first one is, this one's kind of interesting. The trade is proposed as Dalvin Cook and Madison, who would be a handcuff to Dalvin Cook, the backup running back there in Minnesota, a 2022 third-round pick.
So next year.
23 second-round pick. For Kareem Hunt, 2 2022 first-round picks, one of their own and one from another team, and another first-round pick in 2023. So you're getting 3 first-rounders in the next 2 years, plus Kareem Hunt. For Dalvin Cook, Madison, a 2022 third, and a 2023 second.
So to me, Madison, it doesn't matter. I could take Madison's place at 57 with no knees. The draft picks are interesting. First of all, let's talk. So then after this, Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook, I believe they came in the league the same year. Not mistaken, they're in year 4, right?
It sounds about right.
So if they're in year 4, which is about, you're running up against the wall of a running back's career at that point in time. Maybe Dalvin's in 3, Kareem's in 4, and Kareem's had out a year. So at one point in time, Kareem was the equivalent of what Dalvin Cook is now, potentially what he showed when he was with Kansas City. That's not a bad trade at the end of the day. At first, when you told me about this a little bit, I'm like, Dalvin Cook is the premier guy. But when I looked at, he's around for 4 years now. He's coming up at the end of his career. I like the trade. I like the trade getting Kareem Hunt in the draft picks.
Yeah, you can do a lot with 3 first rounders. I mean, there's some potential there to really build your team in the next couple of years with some good players. Obviously, these trades, right? When you trade in future draft picks, you have to look at it after the fact, right? So 2 or 3 years now, we have to look back and say, what did they really trade Dalvin Cook for? If this guy that got Dalvin Cook doesn't win a Super Bowl this year and just makes the playoffs and one and done in the playoffs, and then for the next 3 or 4 years, he's not even making the playoffs. Meanwhile, the other guy all of a sudden is making the playoffs every year. It's going to look like the draft picks on the Kareem Hunt was worth it, right?
Well, the draft picks, it's a little bit of a gamble, but because Kareem Hunt is almost the equivalent of Dalvin Cook and almost the same time in the league, that's a good play. Because otherwise, Dalvin Cook is a stud running back. You're going to get 2, maybe 3 more excellent years out of him. Kareem's going to be close to that. That's going to make up the delta. Otherwise, if it wasn't for Kareem and that, if it was just draft picks, then the guy that gave up Dalvin's an idiot. But otherwise, I think it's a good trade.
And the other thing you got to deal with too is Kareem Hunt's got to deal with Nick Chubb and his success or lack thereof. That's going to hinge a lot on how he actually ends up, how many touches he gets, how much he's going to play. If Nick Chubb gets hurt, Kareem Hunt's an instant top, probably 6.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have another one?
Yeah, we had another one. This one I question. This is a they're both big trades. I mean, we're talking about big first round type players here. Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, and a 2022 first round pick for Justin Jefferson.
So Justin Jefferson is in his sophomore year at the height of his career. I'm not a DJ Moore fan. I know he's a fantasy stud because he puts up numbers, but to me, he puts up numbers because he's the only guy and he gets short passes, 5 yards in the story. And then the other guy you mentioned was
it's Aaron Jones and the 2020.
Aaron Jones again is a system player. If Aaron Rodgers is not there next year, Aaron Jones sucks. End of story. Which is a good chance Aaron Jones will be in Green Bay next year. So guess what? His career is over after A-Rod leaves. End of story. So I tend to like the other side of that trade.
Right, and I think the future back of Green Bay is really A.J. Dillon. I mean, going forward year.
Yes, it is.
A BC product year. You're talking when he gets into he's in his 2nd year now, right? But when he gets into his 3rd, he could have a great year this year. Right. When he gets his 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6 years, that guy could be a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Aaron Jones' career is banking on Aaron Rodgers staying. End of story. Yeah.
So I don't. Right. I'm not putting a lot of stock in there. The DJ Moore trade, and again the 2022 first round pick. I think it's giving up a lot. I think you're giving up a lot for a guy like Justin Jefferson. He had a great rookie year. Can he repeat that year? Who's going to be throwing to him? Is Kirk Cousins going to be there for how many more years? Is Kellen Mond the answer in Minnesota for his heir apparent? I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on Justin Jefferson right now.
But meanwhile, DJ Moore is catching passes from Sam Darnold, who couldn't make it happen for the Jets. We don't know if he's going to ever be able to get rid of seeing the ghost against the Patriots. So who knows?
Yeah. No, I mean, I like Justin Jefferson I as a player. I just don't think he's going to have as good as a season this year. There's other guys like CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk who are also going into their sophomore year receivers that I think could have better years this year than Justin Jefferson.
Well, if Dalvin Cook has a great season for Minnesota, Justin Jefferson will benefit from that. the play action pass.
All right. All right. Well,
Anything
that's
else?
trade talk.
That
We'll share it with the Dynasty League, and we'll see what they think.
All right. Hey, by the way, we had our Survivor Fantasy draft last night. Real quick, who do you think made out the best? There was 19 players in this thing, 5 picks. Who do you think made out the best?
Yeah, so 95 players come off the board. You get 1 quarterback, 1 receiver, 1 running back, and then 2 non-QB flexes. PB, I think I got the best team. I really do. I got Trevor Lawrence, a quarterback. He was the last quarterback picked. Not bad considering 18 other quarterbacks went off the board. James Robinson as my running back. And here's where I really come through with my receivers. I got Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and Robert Woods. I think that's a great 5-some right there. Another team that I really like is Brian's team. He had the last pick in the draft, so he picked 19th and 20th. But in those 19th and 20th picks, he got Kyler Murray and Aaron Jones. Unlike Dynasty Fantasy, where Aaron Jones may not have value after this year he does have value. So that's
sure,
good.
absolutely.
And then along with that, he's got Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson that he got, end 3rd, beginning 4th round, which I thought was huge at, what was that, around 57, 58 pick. And then rounds it out with Myles Gaskin as the last pick overall. So that's a good 5. I do like Tom. Tom picked first. He's top heavy, but I like his team. Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, and AJ Brown. That's a really good top 3 right there. Corey Davis and Mostert concern me a little bit, but those other 3 guys might be able to carry him. And I kind of feel the same way with Freddie's team. He has Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, who I really like. Him slipping as far as he did in that first round was amazing to me. And then Cooper Kupp, again, a good heavy top 3. His 4th and 5th concern me a little bit. Miles Sanders and Michael Gallup. So he may need his top 3 to carry him as well. But those 4 teams to me stand out initially.
By the way, I already said it last week in our show last week. AJ Brown is going to have an absolutely stud season with Julio Jones getting double teamed on the other side.
Yeah, there's certainly potential for that. And who knows what's going to happen, how that's going to impact, Derrick Henry as well, because he could, if they're throwing the ball, that means they can run the ball, right?
Unbelievable. All right, let's move on to a little college football. We know we talked a little bit about last week. We gave our picks. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy favorites. I already said last week, I mentioned him 100 times. My boy, Spencer Rattler, I still say he's number 1. But there's some other players out there. Who do you like, PB?
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Rattler certainly tops that list. Of course, he's the Vegas favorite right now to do that. The most competition he's going to get is probably from Uiagalelei, right? The Clemson quarterback. He's probably the one guy that might be able to, depending on the type of season he has, compete for that spot for the Heisman Trophy winner. You do have Bryce Young, but, again, a non-proven commodity, but he has the system and the coaching and everything else in place to have a successful year. So we'll see how he starts off his season and what that looks like. Then you got your group of guys like JT Daniels out of Georgia, Sam Howell, North Carolina, CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. Those are all candidates that could make it. So I put all of them kind of in that next tier, depending on the type of year that they have. And then I'm going to throw my long shot in there, which was also my last pick for the college football playoff, but Iowa State's Brock Purdy.
Oh, so interesting you should mention Brock Purdy. And by the way, I didn't pick them for the college football playoffs because there's only going to be one Big 12 team, unfortunately, and it's going to be Oklahoma. But those guys are going to give them a challenge. We'll talk about some big games next week. The other guy that's going to maybe take votes away from Brock Purdy, but help the team is the other guy that I think is maybe a potential top 3, Breece Hall, the running back with almost 1,600 yards last year in 8 games. That's a stud of a running back. He's going to make Brock Purdy look very pretty at the end of the day. So we'll see. They'll take votes away from each other, unfortunately, right, at the end of the day. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of those 2 are in the top 3. I get another one. I like DJ as well. Obviously, I said Spencer. DJ Uiagalelei played 2 games last year. As we know, he played against BC. He ended up pulling that game out. They struggled, but he threw for 350. I think he had 4 TDs. And then against Notre Dame, they lost that game. The only game they lost until they got to the playoffs. He threw for 400, the most yards ever against Notre Dame as a freshman, right? 450. So this kid's a stud. I mean, who knows? I like him as well. So moving on, I got to talk about another guy. He may get votes, long shot, but he's the reason why Boston College is going to have a very good season. The Notre Dame transfer, no less. Phil Jerkovic, I think is how you pronounce his name. My Polish friend Rick Pishowitz will tell me that I'm right or wrong. But Jerkovic is a stud quarterback. He's going to do a lot for BC. He did a lot last year. He threw for almost 3,000 yards in a shortened season. He's got a great wide receiver. This kid said Flowers, if I'm not mistaken, he's from down your way in Florida. Huge season he's going to have as well. These guys, believe it or not, PB, I know they got some tough games. They're obviously going to lose Clemson, most likely. Who knows? Maybe they pull a rabbit out of that, you know what. They got Missouri, SEC school, comes to the Heights. I can't wait on September 25th. I will be there for that game. North Carolina State, who looked absolutely awesome last night. That's going to be a tough game. Virginia Tech, obviously, Louisville, and Georgia Tech. But I got these guys going, believe it or not, 9-3 this year. And if I haven't losing to Mizzou, but if they beat Mizzou, they go 10-2, but I think they go 9-3. Looking pretty good. So that's the BC Eagles. And by the way, I will be there tomorrow for the Colgate game, 46.5-point spread. God bless us, who knows. All right, let's get into some picks, PB. We got some good games. I'm watching one right now. We got Virginia Tech is playing North Carolina. We didn't pick this one, but we are picking a school that you're wearing a shirt of right now. Alabama, a 19.5-point favorite, playing Miami. I forget what that game is. It's at a neutral site. Who do you like there?
Yeah, it's always tough in the first week to really see how these teams start to pan out. And I know Miami's got some pretty good, hype going into this year. I think they're ranked 14th in the country right now.
They are.
But Alabama's ranked number 1, right? And Alabama is just a force. And they always put that team on the field and they just surprise you. They score points. They play defense. So I know 19.5 is a lot of points, but I think Vegas is trying to suck you in a little bit and get people to lay in on Miami a little bit. I'm not going to fall for it. And I'm going to stick with the Crimson Tide in this one as the, favorite and also covering the spread.
Oh, all right. Guess what? I am going with the U to cover the spread. De'Aaron King is another guy who was a long shot for the Heisman, and this might be his Heisman moment. If he goes off in this game, God forbid he pulls an upset off and has a great game, he'll become the front runner for the Heisman after that game. So I like Miami at 19.5. I don't think the freshman quarterback from Alabama is quite ready yet. I think Miami can cover the spread, so I'm going to take Miami to cover. Hey, by the way, G Money also has Miami covered. I'm a little bit afraid of that, but we'll see. All right, Georgia versus Clemson, 3-5 go head-to-head. Clemson's 3, Georgia's 5. Clemson is -3. It's another neutral game if you call Charlotte neutral for Clemson. Who do you like there?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to stay with the favorite on this one with Clemson. I think the line's actually gone up to 4, which means the money is coming in on Clemson right now. And you know what? It's going to be Georgia's backfield that's going to maybe be the question here. Can they stay with the pass attack of Clemson? And if they can, then maybe they have a shot, but more than likely they won't. And that means Clemson should be able to score a lot of points as long as their defense can play somewhat, make a few stops. It's going to be a high-scoring game, but in the end, Clemson wins. I think they can win this by 7 to 10 points.
I get Clemson. G Money has Georgia. By the way, Clemson could afford to lose this game and still make the playoffs. Georgia,
they can't.
They got to win it, right?
Yeah.
The pressure's on them, but I still like Clemson like you. All right. LSU goes out west to UCLA. LSU, I have no idea how they're a 3-point favorite. I know UCLA hasn't been good for a long time, but Chip Kelly, in my mind, I think he finally proves he's the real deal. Finally, it took him a while. I like UCLA against the points, taking the points, I should say.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
Yeah, this is UCLA getting points at home. This line has also come down a little bit. I think it's 3. the open. It's come down to 2.5, which means the money is coming in on UCLA. I think the only reason why LSU is favored is probably because they're an SEC team and they have that tough competition. UCLA, maybe not so much, but I think they have the better team this year, and it's in LA.
It's at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, and they got to go out there to play. So I'll give that edge. I think UCLA can cover that or win the game outright.
Yeah, I mean, me as well. I think so. All right, the last one we got, Indiana, in honor of the Rick Tater.
Yeah,
he's an IU grad. Indiana is going to Iowa. Iowa's a 3-point favorite. Indiana had a great year last year. I love that quarterback, Michael Pennis, I believe is how you pronounce it. He had a great season until he got hurt. IU, by the way, had the most transfer portals come to their team this year. So that's going to only add more studs to that team. I like Indiana. I believe they pull the upset. They beat Iowa, who's a 3-point favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going with the Hawkeyes at home on this one. Sorry, Rick.
That's okay. G Money, by the way, has Indiana, so I'm a little bit nervous. By the way, G Money did pick LSU in the previous game, so we'll see. All right. So you got Iowa.
Yeah, we're different on you have Miami, I have Alabama, and I have Iowa, and you have Indiana. But
Right.
the other two were the same one.
All right, we'll see what happens, brother. Nice show. Good. Looking forward to the season. Next week, we got to talk NFL, right?
NFL.
Week.
Opening week. You got Thursday night. You got the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady and company. It should be a fun week.
We'll do our prediction show on Thursday night in advance of that game.
Yes.
All right. Sports fans, have a great weekend. PBC Sports Chaos. Have a great weekend.